Good morning. It's Tuesday. How you guys doing? I'm here with Kyree Morris.
What's up?
What's happening, buddy?
Man.
Super excited. Super excited to have you on the show today.
Yes.
We got lots of stuff going on. I love the topic of the show. Slow motion is better than no motion. So I did a whole bunch of looking up on that. That's a lie. I just did one little quick Google just to make sure I understood what we were talking about. But you have a great story, a great journey, so welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Hey, Wendy Stewart, what's up?
Oh, that's my girl.
There's a hashtag Noah Pro right there.
God is good.
God is good.
She
That's
knows.
right. She knows. All right, so let's learn about you. We love origin story here. We love to learn where you came from and how you got to the place you're at right now.
Woo! Origin story. So, Kyree Morris, insurance broker and all that good stuff. But origin, I think I have to kind of kick it back a little bit.
Please do.
So, I'm actually, a lot of people don't even realize, I'm an ex-college basketball player.
Did not know that till about 10 minutes ago.
There we go. So, I was in college and I was following, hoop dreams and ball is life. And, I'm like 5'10" and a half, but had this dream of somehow I'm going to make it to the league and all these different things. But I've always worked. So my entire life I had a job. I was working in high school, was working. Try to give you the synopsis of this. I'm in college and I'm starting to send out all these job applications, and it's like the final semester, and I'm like, when I go home, I want to work a real job this summer. And I didn't know what that,
What does that even mean?
I didn't even know what that really meant. I was like, I just don't want to, not knocking doing anything, like retail or anything, but I was like, I want to do something professional. I didn't know what that even meant. So I start sending out all these job applications, and then one day, my mom calls me and I step out of class and I'm like, what? She's like, you got a response back, because she would like manage the email.
Good for her.
Yeah, shout out to a real one. You're the real MVP, Mom. And she was like, you got a response back. It looks kind of cool. You should follow up. So I called them, and it was April 25th. And they were like, can you come in for an interview here in Orlando? And it was like April 26th. And I was like, sure. And at the time, I'm going to school in Clearwater. So I'm out in Clearwater. I drive home for this interview, and the position is an account executive.
Ooh,
now,
that sounds pretty.
Yeah, it sounds pretty.
Pretty
As
bougie.
AKA that's just sales. You come
at
to
the bottom
find
of
out.
the rung.
Yeah. So I show up. These dudes are suited and booted. Ted, suited and booted, tailored suits, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I'm gonna be rich. Like, I was like, this is awesome.
Isn't that what everyone thinks?
That's what I immediately I was like, this is awesome. I'm about to be an account executive, Mom. So I take the job. I don't even finish my finals. So didn't even tell my mom that. I like move home.
Oh my God, you didn't finish
I
your
didn't
finals?
finish I completely flunked my year away in school.
What was the... All right,
Yeah.
so... Hi, what was the reason behind that?
They told me all these things. They were like, these are the opportunities. They will, you can make X amount, all these different things. And I still didn't even know what the job was. They worded it in such a way that I was like, I'm going to be an executive, wear a suit every day, and be in like client relations. And I was like, this is awesome. I show up the next day and they throw me a green polo, khaki shorts, and a 500 house territory and say, you're knocking on doors all day. Welcome to the team.
Wow.
So I was a...
What were you doing? What was it? What company?
CenturyLink and DirecTV, bundling internet and satellite television door to door all day long.
You're the person I pretended I wasn't home at when my dogs are
100%.
barking? Yeah.
No, I have great stories, like knocking on doors in nudist communities and everything.
Nudist communities?
Oh, it's great. They're here in Orlando, guys.
Yes, they are. They're not far from here.
They're not far.
I would love to do a show there.
We should plan the next one for that.
Nobody wants to see this naked, so I'll have to be the only clothed person in the entire village.
We should just show up in jackets. But
We should.
That's another episode.
Completely different.
So I start doing it. Everybody was like, you're losing your mind, Kai. You're going to come home from being a college basketball player to knock on doors all day long. And I landed up becoming third in the nation, selling DirecTV and CenturyLink door to door. And
all right, so let's say hi to the people, and then I want to. Hey, Coco, thank you.
Up?
We love you. We love you guys. Everybody who's saying
Kelsey.
hi. Kelsey, we love her. Go to the basin. It's amazing. You want to get out there? Hey, Jen, what's up? So how did you become, did you have background in sales or just because of your personality?
So when I was 13, I sold door to door for Orlando Sentinel in my first year of high school. They would pick us up in a van, sounds creepy, but we would go and sell Orlando Sentinel door to door. But other than that, no. I just always have worked and just kind of talk to people. Sorry, I'm tapping the table. But
look, so you become cognizant of it. No, you're right. You're right.
But so I would, that's all I did, and so I was terrified. I went out there and started knocking doors, and the first door I had to knock by myself. I completely told the people I worked for Bright House and I worked for CenturyLink. I was so nervous, and yeah.
So what's that like? Like, I don't ever open the door for salespeople.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what the impetus. What would I open the door for? But is it because you just had this greatest deal? I think you have a trusting looking face, so I think you're golden there. It's the beard.
It's the beard.
What areas of town were you going? Like, did they give you at least, hey, these people are a good demographic for you to go to?
No.
No,
So
nothing.
it was
Like old days with the phone book. You just started calling.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was pretty much.
crazy.
We're in this area, so go to that area. So I mean, my first house that I ever knocked was on New England Avenue in Winter Park. So if anybody
Nice.
is Central Florida, you know. So here I am knocking on this door, and we did this like crazy knock, Ted. So we knocked, we stepped back, and then we waved and smiled. It's not weird, right? So
Not at all.
Not at all. No,
I'm
like,
definitely opening the door for you.
100%.
Crazy person.
Yeah, so I did that, and the first house, of course, was a hard no. And then by like the 20th house, you're just comfortable. You're just knocking on doors at that point. But I've walked into some crazy situations when I was doing that.
Did you enjoy it? Like, were you doing sales? And I think a lot of top salespeople, some of them will tell you, I just got the method down, I understood the formula, but it doesn't mean that it fed my soul. It wasn't my favorite thing to do.
At first, I didn't, I was terrified. Every day was kind of like, and then I was still trying to get used to this 100% commission thing. I'm like, I have to physically close someone at their house to get paid. So at first it was like, but then it almost becomes, not to make it sound weird, but almost like a drug. You're like, I love this. Like, I get to go out every day.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where people are inviting you in their house. I'm eating dinner at people's house that I knocked on their door 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
Running a credit check in their, they just met me.
And they just met you.
And I'm there, and we used to do, like, we didn't even have iPads when I was selling door to door. So we would physically have to call in. Some people would fail the credit report while you're sitting there and you're still eating, and you're like, yeah, okay, they're not getting it.
Oh
Okay.
my God! Yeah, I never thought about that. So if they don't make it, you're eating the food and you're out of there.
Oh,
like
100%, like barbecue, and I'm out. So it was it was a crazy experience, but I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now if
It gave you a foundation, right? Because the
Yeah.
industry you're in, which we'll get to,
Yep.
is a difficult industry. I think you have very difficult on the insurance side.
Yeah, it's a tough game.
So how did you get from being top 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then what was your next transition?
So I was 19 years old when I was selling. So
Still a baby.
I'm still a baby now, right? So I was 19. One of the things I was making. My first check ever was like $2,000 for 1 week. So when you're 19 and you make
a lot of money.
that, you were like, I don't know what I was like. School called me and they said, "Are you coming back? We didn't get your schedule for next year." And I was like, I'm raised by my mom, and I was able to help her, and I bought my mom a brand new truck, and I was like,
Aww.
I was 19 years old, so I'm like, I don't think I'm coming back. At this point, I'm running a team, but I still lacked a lot of the discipline that comes with the experience of being in business, and I lost a lot of it, and that's part of the whole journey, and didn't know how to sustain it. It's one thing to get it, a different thing to sustain it, and so.
Agreed.
I lost a ton of stuff and kind of transitioned, landed up going to working at the resorts, and then got my real estate license actually.
So why that? So wait, you go from, but what, did you work at Disney Resort, or
No,
you worked timeshare?
Westgate.
Oh, so you worked Westgate.
In-house booking reservations.
Wow.
So
All right.
kind of just needed to get back on my feet. This was only a year after that, because I literally 1 year lost everything, and it was a great time.
devastating.
It's devastating,
Yeah.
yep. But it's the lessons, right? It's the slow motion. It's things are happening, but you're gonna keep pushing. And
Gotta keep pushing.
So I took a job just to keep everything afloat, and then someone was like, you gotta get your real estate license. If you could sell stuff door to door, you could be the next $1 million listing agent. So I got my real estate license.
That's right. I saw when I was trying to go through your bio a little bit on Facebook. I'm like, he worked for KW, right? No.
Remax.
Yep,
Remax. Actually downtown. Yep. So Remax is where I started trying to sell real estate, and it just wasn't all the way my passion. I love realtors, which of course, is kind of how we've all gotten connected. I service a lot of realtors, but I landed up getting my insurance license the same time, and a couple other falls and transitions, and landed up in insurance.
What was the part on real estate that did not thrill you?
So this is gonna sound horrible, but I think with insurance, it's like really black and white. Like, it's like, this is your policy,
Yeah.
this is what it is. a lot of real estate was a lot of emotions, and I don't like the way my cabinets look, and the whole deal fall through because of that. And I was like,
well, insurance is very cookie cutter.
it's very
like this is your policy. You like it or you don't. If
Yeah.
you don't like it, well then move along. Real estate, it's different. You can't say that to a client.
exactly.
Because you do have control over the inventory you're showing them, the listings you do, how you do your marketing. But insurance, it's an application, you're done.
Yeah,
There's
this
nothing
is what
you
it
can do
is.
about it. You
I'm
can't
not
negotiate.
the insurance company. I can't tell them, hey, give them a better rate because we have 12 competing offers. It was just kind of like,
People used to say, hey, Ted, can you give me the friends and family rate?
Yeah.
No, I don't get the friends and family
Family
rate.
rate.
So
Boom.
you can't either because it doesn't exist.
there we go.
So you get into, see, I'm fascinated by that because most of the time, the flexibility on real estate is what's incredibly attractive to
Yeah.
our realtor friends. When you get into insurance, you're much more hands-on. It's a lot of, in my opinion,
Yeah.
it's a lot of time spent with the person.
a lot of service
A
work.
lot of service work, especially in what you do. All right, so you decide to get licensed. Why do you get licensed in the life and health arena?
So the God's honest truth will keep it super fun. It was a girl. It was a girl.
It's always a girl,
It's
man.
always a girl. So it was a girl. We're still friends. She's killing it here in Central Florida. But she was the leasing girl in my community at the time. And she was like, I'm gonna get my insurance license. And at the time, I had no interest in insurance whatsoever. And she was like, I'm gonna get it. We would have to spend like 3 days together to get a license. All I heard in that entire sentence
3 days with her?
was together. I was like, yeah, yep,
That is
100%.
some honesty, man. I love it.
This is the move for me. I want to be in insurance. So didn't care, got my license, and that was really the reason I got it. Kind of sat on it for a little bit. And then when I was kind of transitioning out of real estate, still learning these lessons, etc., I was like, what am I going to do? Kind of was at like a rock bottom place. And here's the story. So I walk into a Chinese restaurant. I had my last $5.68 that I had at that moment. I walk into a Chinese restaurant. I get the lunch combo, and I'm walking out. And I said, as I was walking into this office, the office next to me was an insurance office, and there was a guy sitting in there. And I kind of said in my head, God, if that guy's in there when I walk out, I will go in and talk to him about
Wow.
And I was terrified because I had been burnt so much in the insurance. I mean, not insurance, but just in the sales thing and 100% commission. I kind of lost faith that I could still do this, build a business thing. I was so discouraged. At the time, I'm only like 21, 22, but I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I walked in, and this guy talks to me, and literally I got licensed. I was working 2 jobs at the same time, started selling insurance, and the rest was history.
That's so cool. I mean, I love it when God throws that kind of stuff at you. You know, it's and it was meant to be, right? So that was
100%.
that's kind of the trajectory. You got changed. You finally got the answer to your prayers because you love what you do.
I do.
So let's talk a little bit about the industry itself because tell them what you do because I don't know if they know based
it's
on
cool.
just I
Yeah.
tagged you, but doesn't mean my audience is not
No,
like me
it's-
where we don't go do much research.
Of course. So Kai, the insurance guy, I'm a broker on the insurance side for health insurance, life insurance, and then we also do disability, supplemental, and then small group benefits. So anything under 50 employees, we handle. So we're a broker, simply meaning that we represent multiple carriers. There's really not a carrier in the state that we don't represent, unless there's a very small one, you know. But other than that, we represent all of the carriers for the most part. So, and then I especially, my niche and kind of how we have been connected is I deal with a lot of realtors and a lot of just self-employed in the mortgage, kind of in the real estate industry. So mortgage, lenders, realtors, credit repair. I deal with a lot of them to establish benefits to kind of still give them the corporate feel in a self-employed world. So make sure that they still
That's
have
cool.
their health, their disability, their life, etc., while they're building their dreams and they're not working for somebody. So we still establish that for them and do it in a way that fits their budget.
Because we talked, and I want to dive a little deeper into that. Is there an age? And we'll answer that question in a minute, Jen. Is there, I think it is a difficult market because I am licensed in it and I teach it. I actually do the CE courses for Central Florida Insurance School.
Yeah.
And it is a very hard market, mainly because of that customer service side that you were talking about. And then people don't know what they don't know. They don't understand copay versus deductible. They don't understand benefit limits. They don't understand your cap, your max, whatever
Exactly.
words. And so you are trying to explain a very complicated policy to the general public who isn't licensed like we are.
100%.
So talk a little bit about, let's answer Jen's question.
Yeah.
Is there a specific age that is, I don't know exactly what you said, Jen, but I think it's a specific age where you should get life insurance.
I'm actually dropping a video today, Jen, on my page on that topic. It's Tuesday Topics is on that. The younger, the better. And the reason to take 25 seconds is it's a word called insurability. When you're younger, life insurance companies, what they do is they're always going to look at your health class. So if I meet with Ted and he's had a whole bunch of things happen in his health history and he's now a little bit older, what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, we don't really want to touch that because he's had all these things happen. When you're younger, you're normally more healthy. So they will insure you, they'll give you the better rate, and you can lock that rate in for either forever or for a certain period of time, whether it's a term policy, etc. So normally the younger, the better is the rule of thumb. Check that video out today. It literally drops in about an hour.
I love that. All right, so talk a little bit about the health side, then I want to go back to life. I think it's super important for people to know that there are options out there, because for a while, you had no options. When you were just talking about how United Healthcare, which a lot of people know, came back into the individual market, they didn't have that for a very, very long time. So is there an affordable policy for people?
For sure. So normally what we run into, so there's two ways to really get health insurance right now. And one is what we call the marketplace or the exchange. It has 30 different names, Ted, so I don't want to confuse the general public. People hear it as Obamacare, all that. It's all one thing, okay? So don't just put it in one bucket. It's healthcare.gov. So that is what what happened, the Affordable Care Act, etc. That happened back in 2011, 2012 when that all became mandated, and that became income driven. So whatever your income was is what they base your premium off of. If you make below a certain number, you get subsidy. If you don't get any help, it's super duper high, etc. But some of the benefits are they cover all your pre-existing conditions. They don't ask any medical questions, etc. Now, for some individuals, when their income is very high, that it's ridiculously pricey. So it's like, so October 2nd of now I say last year, the year before, so 2018, United Healthcare came back to the state with
that went away, right?
Going into 2019, it had went away. So this past year, there was no tax ramifications. The advantageous part is, of course, just if anything ever happens and you get a medical bill. But
I think that, all right, yes, thanks, Mike. We're all
I'm
going to be big,
out,
man.
Mike.
I don't know. My jackets are probably way too big for you, my friend. But I'd be happy to share them with you if you'd like. I think that people are also afraid of the life insurance side, and we really haven't done a show on life insurance. I think Levita Logan came on once, but we talked mainly about just getting people educated on it. People believe that once you get your life insurance policy, you die. Right? It's crazy.
It's like
you don't want to face your mortality. So if I don't have life insurance, I'm not going to die. Let me tell you, statistically, you're wrong.
It's 100% chance that you're wrong.
100% chance you're wrong.
And that's with love.
That's a lot of love. But I think people are afraid of it. And as an insurance agent, as a life guy that wrote a ton, I used to write it on my kids. People are like, why'd you write it on your kids? Well, insurability is really the critical part about kids. But age is so important. Like when I go to try to get a policy now, that I'm 35, 36, it's very difficult to get a price when that's the same. You're not going to that when you were 22, 23, 24.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of options out there for you. So let me ask you some basic things that I think are important for people to kind of know.
For sure.
Opinion on term versus whole life, or term versus permanent insurance?
Yeah, so term is typically, what I initially tell everybody, you should have a term policy, because so the way I look at term versus perm, etc., term is normally where you're going to get the majority of your insurance. So what I like to do with my clients is look at a needs analysis. So let's say you have, when we calculate everything, we look at to pay for your house to be paid off, your mortgage, your bills, fund your kids' college, etc. It's going to take you $2 million. Well, normally to get $2 million of permanent insurance is going to be very expensive. But to get $2 million of term insurance is going to be very low. So what we do is we look at the window, because right now your needs are at a higher, so if you have kids, you have young kids, you have a house that you still haven't paid off, etc., your needs are extremely high. So what we say is for the next 30 years, we're going to make sure you have an umbrella of the $2 million. Correct. So that way, if anything happens, for a fact, everything is good. Now, your needs are going to be significantly different in 30 years from now. So what we normally will do is we'll say, and then maybe what we'll look at is a permanent policy of a much lower amount that says, what do you want to leave legacy-wise if to have final expenses paid, God forbid anything was to ever happen,
right,
etc. Then we'll write like a baseline, smaller perm policy. But term is where you're going to get the bulk of that for very, very affordable. The average policy is well under $50 for someone that's under 40 years old. And so we want to cover that area of need. So if something happened, you can replace you forever, in a sense.
And I want to stress, I don't want to get on a Debbie Downer, I'll switch, but it's something we always talked about in the agency, is that it costs a lot of money to bury somebody. It costs a lot of money to cremate them. So I want you guys to think about that you're leaving that burden to your family. And I just think it's so critical that you at least meet with somebody like Kai, because he is infectious, right?
Love you,
in
Mike.
a good way, Mike, in a good way. But I think it's so important for you to really evaluate that and not be afraid. And you don't want to leave your loved ones in a bad place. And I've seen that so much. We used to, because we had the PNC agency, we used to, people would come in and say, Mr. Bogert, did so-and-so have a life policy? He's got all his other insurance with you. And I'd be like, no, we tried, because we documented, we tried 10 different times to get them to even buy the basic policy, and they didn't. I'm sorry. And then they have no money. And the funeral homes are a for-profit business, just for the record, so they're not really looking to try to make a deal with you. They have a price set, and I don't know what people do, to be honest with you, when they don't have the money for a funeral home.
The funeral home will finance.
They'll finance.
It's just with interest. It's
and
ridiculous.
it's a mess.
It's a mess.
Nothing against my funeral home friends, but
love you guys
wouldn't it be wonderful if you could be ahead of it? So what do you tell like young families when they're planning? I'm fascinated by this generation. It doesn't seem like my kids who have jobs, 27, 25, they, even though they grew up in it, they weren't really aware of how to get through it, or if they even needed it. And my thing to them was, of course you need it. You always need it. So talk a little bit about planning, because I think you attract, like Mike said, you have great energy. You attract a group that's going to listen to you.
Yeah, so I tell, as young as I meet with people, it's something to consider to put in your portfolio, just like everything else, whether it's financial planning, whether it's anything, it's something that should be part of your portfolio, because I always try to talk about the ramifications of you not being here. And a lot of people don't think of that. And I will meet with, a husband that has a stay-at-home wife and 2 kids, and it's like, well, I don't need it, I'm healthy. There's a lot of people at the emergency room that didn't make a reservation.
Correct.
And it's so what I always try to push it. And I mean, that's really all I can say is just consider what happens if you're not here. And then also the one caveat I'm going to just kind of put in there, the policy you have through work is normally not enough. So I meet people every day that say, I get that through work. Well, there's 2 things that you have to remember, and I've put content out about this. One, there's normally an extremely high rollout fee if you try to take it from your job when you leave. Do you plan on working at that job for the rest of your life?
Right.
So that's one thing that a lot of individuals don't realize. And then the second thing is, normally it's what your salary is. They normally give you either your salary or double your salary in coverage. Let's be honest, $100,000, and I don't mean to sound like, it's just not a lot of money when everything becomes due very quickly. When that mortgage comes in and etc., $100,000 goes like that. So you really have to ask yourself, what do you want to leave to make sure your family is completely comfortable? Not just they can survive, but they can maintain the same exact lifestyle, if not more, if you're not here.
I love it.
And that's what I just try to tell people.
All right, let's talk about motion a little bit, because one thing I noticed you've said a couple of times, you put a video out, and yet you were nervous to come on here. So you obviously are not afraid of video, but and you're willing to put it out there.
Yeah.
Talk about the motion thing. Talk about why you feel, I love this quote, slow motion is better than no motion. And it's so powerful because I think people get paralyzed by the fact that they can't make this giant leap.
There it is.
It's either like, okay, I can't do one step at a time. I have to be where Mr. Jones is or Mr. Morris is, and then I don't make it there, so I can't do anything.
I heard that quote probably almost a year ago when someone said slow motion is better than no motion. And that was something that I always internally wrestled, because I would kind of, and just be honest and transparent, I would play the comparison game, and I would look at people that I admired or etc. And I was like, man, I want to look like that, or I want to live like that, or I want that. But what I begin to notice is that I always say I try to get 1% better every single day, because over the course of 365 days, you're going to be 365% further than where you were that day. And so a lot of people, though, I feel like they feel like they can't make that jump, they just stay stagnant. They make no progress. And so it's just like the gym or anything else. It's, I looked at myself the other day, and I'm kind of back on my fitness kick, Ted. And, I looked at myself in my college picture, and I'm like, wow, like I could take my shirt off. That was nice. And because
I haven't done that in a very long time.
It's okay. We're going to do it together. But I looked and I was like, now I'm looking at going back into the gym, and I'm back in the gym, and of course I can't do what I used to do even, but I'm learning that I have to make progress every single day, and the more progress that I make, it's better to go slow than to stay stagnant. It's better for me to walk on the treadmill until I can run again than for me to not get to the treadmill at all.
I don't understand, I agree with you. I don't understand that logic. If you really want to do something, let's say health, body, then wouldn't you think 5 minutes on the treadmill is better than 0? And yet they don't want to do 5 minutes.
Because you don't see the immediate,
we wanted it
change.
right now.
It's the microwave.
I want to have that 6-pack instead of the 24-pack that I have right now in 10 minutes. Why can't that happen?
That's what it is. It's when people get back to the gym, or even they get back into business, that first day that you start making phone calls again, you're not going to make 6 figures or 7 figures on that first meeting, but it's the compound interest on that effort. It's every day you've been meeting people for a year, I guarantee you your business looks different. Or every day you've been in the gym for a year, I guarantee you've made progress. And I think people get super stagnant because they know that first time in the gym, you're not going to lose the belly that came from 6 years of me, eating chicken wings in Chipotle every day. So it's like, and that's my guilty
That's your thing.
pleasure.
That's your guilty
I have
pleasure.
a problem with Wingstop, but it's so now that's the thing, is just rewiring your mind that slow motion is better than no motion at all.
I love that.
So
all right, so we're going to share see how fast it goes. We're going to share all of Kyree's Kai the insurance guy. I love that. I used to be Ted the title guy when I owned the
That's
title
what I'm talking
agencies.
about.
Kai the insurance
I love
guy. We're going to share all of Kai's contact information. Maybe we're going to actually get the link to these wonderful videos he keeps referring to in the show, which I'm excited about. I think that's really good. I'm proud of you for doing that. I think that's so important, and people really do respond to that. Because if you have questions about life insurance, health insurance, voluntary benefits, or disability, or whatever you're going through, you want to reach out to Kai. He obviously has the passion for it, and he cares. You can tell. That's why I love to do live, because you can't fake that. So we're big on mentorship. We're big on who makes an impact in your life. We're big on really giving kudos and gratitude. So can you give a shout out to somebody who's made an impact on you personally or professionally? Somebody you want to just give a big thank you to today.
I'll shout out my brother Aaron Luton.
Aaron.
Shout out my brother Aaron Luton. People think me and Aaron, I think, have known each other for like 10 years, and we met like 6 months ago. But he's just one of those people that you just spend time around, and he's just infectious. Some of the ways he thinks, like he challenges me to think bigger, think more. He's kind of helped me get into even what we do now in my business. So he's been without him even knowing it, a mentor. He's a brother and a friend, but just something that I've stuck close, and I'm like, oh yeah, thank you, man. I've learned a lot from you, really, and cool. I've probably not even said that to him. And he's, I think, 2 rooms over.
He's literally 2 rooms over.
So I love you, bro, and you're someone I appreciate.
Awesome. All right, you've been a joy to have on. Infectious, right? He was awesome. Thanks for being on the show, Kai. We absolutely appreciate you, and I think that a lot of people have questions. Reach out to me on the show, and I'll get you to Kai, or reach out to Kai directly. Go look at his videos. You guys need to get in front of your life and health insurance for sure. And then remember, slow motion's better than no motion. I absolutely love that. I'm going to think about that all the time. You don't have to make the giant leap to make progress.
Yes.
You guys got to get out of your comfort zone and realize that it's better to get out than it is to just sit there and wallow.
100%.
All right. Love you, man. Appreciate you. We love you guys. We'll see you back soon.
See you guys.
Bye.